Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikoletta and today I have my top 10 TV show recommendations. With quarantine ending, I feel like I've watched so much television that I can never again say there's nothing to watch. So I wanted to give you guys what I think are some of the best shows that are out there right now. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So the first show that I wanted to tell you guys about is Outer Banks. It is about a group of teenagers that live in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and it definitely has those Cape Cod, Nantucket type vibes where they live. So there are two groups. One are the locals, they are called the Pogues, and then there's the vacationers that come back every summer and they're called the Kooks. And the show basically follows the group leader. His name is John B. His father has gone missing, and his father is a renowned treasure hunter in the area looking for this lost, abandoned, sunken ship that has gone down. But the sunken ship supposedly had millions of dollars worth of gold on it. The group goes looking for his father. It's a treasure hunt. They've gone on a treasure hunt. So the group goes looking for the treasure hunt and they have to overcome a lot of obstacles such as fighting, friendship, money, and love. Really good show. Really great looking cast. So the next show I'm going to tell you guys about is called Hollywood. This is a show about a group of aspiring actors and filmmakers in 1940 post-World War II in Hollywood. The characters will do anything, including breaking their moral codes, to succeed. The show exposes a lot of the struggles that women, people of color, and gay people have to endure during that time, and it examines decade-old power dynamics. The show follows a man named Jack who wants to be an actor, and he begins to become a prostitute at a gas station owned by a man named Ernie, who's essentially a pimp. This guy Jack is breaking his moral codes to put money on the table for him and his wife, who is expecting a baby. Then we follow a man named Raymond, and he is a half Filipino director who looks white, so he doesn't endure any of the prejudiceness, but he also hides the fact that he is half Filipino so that doesn't happen, so he has more opportunities. And he actually is in a relationship with a woman named Camille, who's an inspiring black actress who's very up and coming in the industry, but she has a lot of struggles because she is obviously a person of color and the opportunities for them are very minimal during that time. So the next show that I'm going to tell you guys about is really great. It is called Never Have I Ever. It follows an Indian American girl named Devi Vishwakumar, and she is 15 years old, living in the Sherman Oaks, California area. Her father had just passed away during her freshman year during a spring concert at her high school, and we are introduced to her sophomore year of high school on the very first day, where she is determined to bring up her social status. Her and her friends are considered nerds. They would like to become one of the popular kids. Devi, however you want to say her name, has a crush on the supposedly hottest kid in the area, and his name is Paxton. She initially really wants to get together with him. She struggles to get along with her mother, and they have their cousin Kamala living with them while she studies at university. And she is actually in an arranged marriage that her parents set up for her back in India for her to meet this man in California. She has two friends, Eleanor and Fabiola, who are her closest group of friends, and she has a boy at school that she competes with academically. His name is Ben, and she considers him her nemesis. It's a really good show. It's definitely, if you grew up in very ethnic household, you'll understand it a little bit better, and it's very relatable. So definitely suggest watching that. The next show is a show that has been out for quite a while now. They just released their 4th and final season. It's called 13 Reasons Why. It's about a girl named Hannah Baker who has committed suicide and left behind these cassette tapes to 13 people whom she considers are responsible for her suicide. The show definitely has some dark themes, including bullying, betrayal, lies, and suicide. So disclaimer, it's not for everyone. The show begins with the main character who narrates the show, Clay Jensen. He receives a package of the tapes. He receives the package after Hannah has passed away, so he kind of is very confused and is trying to piece together the whole situation. definitely give that one a look-see if you have not yet. One of Netflix's most acclaimed shows, but also one of their most controversial shows. The next show was originally on the CW and has ended now. It is called Reign. It's a historical drama that follows the life of Mary Queen of Scots and how she was engaged to the Prince of France from the age of 6. So she grew up in a convent for her own safety, and then when she was about 14 or 15, when she was eligible to get married, she got moved to the French castle. And here is where she met Francis, who was to be her husband, as they were adults now, because at the time 14, 15 was considered adults. They definitely seem much older in the show than that age, but historically that was the age that they were supposed to be. She goes to live at the castle and she encounters a lot of like political and power struggles that she did not expect, and she has figured out her feelings for the man that she's supposed to marry and have children with for the rest of her life, but she also gets interested in knowing his stepbrother Bash, who is a bastard child of the King of France, and his mother was Maria de Guise. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Francis's mother, Catherine de Medici, has a fortune teller or someone who can see the future that lives at the castle with them, and she takes his opinion very seriously. Now this is where the dramatization of the show comes into play, where he can predict the future, and he foresees that Francis will die if he marries Mary Queen of Scots. So Catherine does everything in her power to prolong their engagement and try to not make the marriage happen, because she will do anything for her children. The series also follows the lives of Mary's ladies, her handmaidens, and how they would like to get married and have husbands at French court. That was basically the premise of the show, but it's really good and definitely something that I think if you're interested in like a dramatized historical, Mary Queen of Scots had a very intriguing life. The series definitely shows it well. So the next show I want to talk about is called Love Life, and this is on HBO Max. It stars Anna Kendrick as Darby, and it shows her post-graduation in 2012, where she has an art degree and she's trying to find herself, find her person, find who she's going to spend the rest of her life with. And each episode talks about a person that brings her closer to her journey to finding the one that she's going to end up with. So the whole show is basically a time span from 2012 all the way through present day. The entire show is only one season as of right now, and all of those episodes are on HBO Max. Definitely give this one a try. I don't like Anna Kendrick as an actress, but this show is very good and it's very relatable. Okay, so the next show I have to talk about is called The Bold Type. It follows 3 girls, Jane, Kat, and Sutton, through their lives working at a New York fashion magazine called Scarlet. So we are introduced in the show where Joan has just gotten a promotion to be a writer. Kat is the social media director and has just met a woman named Adina, who is a Muslim lesbian artist. And Kat is supposedly into men, but for some reason she now has feelings for this woman Adina, and that's kind of her plotline. Sutton is an assistant at the magazine, and she is looking to work her way up in the fashion department. We see her journey trying to move up as well from assistant, whereas the other 2 already have more acclaimed positions. And another thing about Sutton is in the beginning of the show she seems very disinterested in her career, because all we do as the viewer is see her focused on her boyfriend, who is a board member, which is very taboo because they are not allowed to tell anybody. So the next show I have to talk about is called Good Trouble. Now this is a spin-off show of The Fosters on ABC Family, and you can actually find this show on Hulu right now. But basically it follows the postgraduate lives of the 2 main characters who are foster siblings who grew up together. One is Callie, and she's a lawyer, and the other one is Mariana, who is a female engineer. They decide to move into this communal living building called the Coterie. The show is based around their lives at work, the people that they encounter at their building, and their love lives and the struggles of growing up. It's very interesting, and I don't think you actually need to watch this show prior, but to get a little bit better understanding of everything, I definitely suggest watching The Fosters as well. Sorry, I got cut off there. I was talking about Revenge. So Revenge is about a woman named Emily Thorne, whose former name is Amanda Clark. Her father was arrested for treason when she was a child, and he was framed by the Grayson family. Now, the Grayson family was a very powerful family in the Hamptons, and the woman, Victoria Grayson, was having an affair with Emily's father, and she was supposedly in love with him but ended up betraying him in the end, where her husband was the one to frame him for this terrorist attack, in which he was actually the one that was responsible. So Emily spends most of her life in juvenile correction facilities, and her father was murdered in jail just before she turned 18 years old. And when she turned 18, she would be released from juvie. So she inherits a large fortune of money because of her father's investments, and she decides to move into her childhood home right across the street from Grayson Manor in the Hamptons. So Emily's goal was to get revenge on anybody who was responsible for the incarceration and murder of her father. Her main target was Victoria Grayson, since she was the woman that kind of betrayed him, and well, not kind of, she did betray him. So she involves some friends along the way in her scheming, but she finds it very hard to keep her emotions separate of her actual plotting. And then the last show I have to tell you guys about is one of my actual favorites. It's like one of my favorite shows. It's a show that I actually started a while ago and then kind of fell off of because I hate watching shows episode by episode, but like the whole series is basically on here right now. So the show is called The 100. It is about a post-apocalyptic world where civilization is now living in space. They are living on this space station called the Ark. They were the survivors of a nuclear bomb that basically ended the world. So we are introduced to the Ark a few generations later, where the Ark is actually struggling to keep the human race alive. It is starting to die, and they need to find another way to survive. So on the Ark, if you break the law, if you are an adult, you get floated into space. There's no room for error. But if you're under the age of 18, you are considered a juvenile delinquent and you get locked up. Well, when the Ark is dying, they decide to send the 100 delinquents down to the ground to see if Earth is survivable again. So the journey follows these 100 down to the Earth. They're all teenagers. These juveniles basically have all the freedom of the world, living in that is completely foreign to them, that they've only heard of in stories. So when they get down there, they are trying to make camp, trying to survive, learn the ropes basically of Earth, when they discover that they're not the only ones down there, that they called the grounders. Now, the grounders were people who genetically lived through the nuclear bomb. Their ancestors lived through the nuclear bomb, and they are there today. So all while the children on the ground are trying to figure out how to survive, the rest of the people up in the Ark are also trying to survive as their resources are becoming more and more limited. The show definitely brings in a lot of like tough ethical questions about human race, the society that we live in, wasted resources. It also like kind of predicts about how the world will end, if it will end in fire or ice, what's going to happen. So it's very intriguing, and the show goes on for multiple seasons, and it's definitely got to be one of my favorites. So that's that. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys like these suggestions. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and please remember to like and subscribe to this video. If you guys have any other suggestions for videos and TV shows, please comment them below and I will check them out. All right, thank you guys.